Have you ever wondered why the most ancient myths speak of withdrawal as a kind of alchemy? The hero vanishes into the forest, the sage retreats to the mountain, the goddess slips into the underworld, and in their absence, the world quakes. Chaos erupts. Those left behind scramble to decode the silence, to fill the void with meaning. But what they find in the end is not the hero, or the sage, or the goddess, but their own reflection staring back, distorted and unfamiliar. This is the shadow play Carl Jung warned of. When you stop being available, when you refuse to feed the hunger of others with your reactions, your explanations, your predictable rhythms, you force the world to confront what it has long projected onto you. Your silence becomes a mirror. Your absence becomes a question. And in that void, the unconscious stirs. Think of it. You are a clock that stops ticking, a flame that refuses to flicker. At first, they will pound at your stillness, demanding you resume your role as the steady metronome of their lives. They will provoke, bargain, even weep, for without your reactions, they lose their compass. Your predictability was their anchor, your emotional availability, their map. But Jung understood this dance. Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, their love is lacking. So you withdraw, not in spite, not in fear, but as an act of ruthless self-possession. You let the phone ring, you let the accusations hang. You watch as their frustration curdles into confusion, then collapses into something far more primal: recognition. Without your compliance, they are forced to meet the parts of themselves they've outsourced to you, their need for control, their fear of abandonment, their unspoken shame. Jung's shadow work thrives here, in the fertile dark of your absence. This is the paradox. By refusing to be a conduit for others' chaos, you become a catalyst for their reckoning. Your silence is not indifference. It is the thunder before the rain. The alchemists solve et coagula, dissolve the old patterns, let the sediment rise, and watch as clarity emerges from the murk. And what of you? In that sacred retreat, you meet your own shadows, the part of you that clung to being needed, that mistook martyrdom for meaning. Jung's individuation begins here, not in the crowd, but in the cave. You are no longer a character in someone else's myth. You are the architect of your own. When you stop being available, the world does not abandon you. It rearranges itself. Relationships either deepen or dissolve. Power dynamics crumble. And those who remain? They will no longer see a tool, an echo, a blank screen for their projections. They will see you, a soul indivisible, ungovernable, and utterly terrifyingly free. As Jung wrote, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But first, you must dare to disappear. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to hold an invisible leash on the world around them? They don't shout, they don't argue, they don't chase, they simply step back. And like magic, the air shifts. People who once ignored them suddenly lean in. Those who took them for granted start to wonder. Conversations stall. Eyes dart. Silence becomes a question no one knows how to answer. Imagine this. You're the person everyone relies on. The one who's always there, answering texts at midnight, smoothing over conflicts, saying yes when you want to scream no. You're the steady drumbeat in the background of other people's lives. Predictable, dependable, controllable. But what if you stopped? What if you let the phone ring? What if you didn't rush to fix someone else's problem? What if, instead of filling the silence with nervous chatter, you let it hang like a thick fog? At first, nothing happens. Then slowly, the world tilts. People are creatures of habit. They learn how to navigate you like a well-worn map. Your reactions are their compass, your anger, your forgiveness, your need to explain. They know which buttons to press to get you to jump, to apologize, to cave. But the day you stop playing along, the map burns. Your coworker sends a passive-aggressive email, expecting your usual frantic reply. This time, you delete it. Your friend cancels plans last minute, waiting for your guilt, written, "It's okay." Instead, you say nothing. Your partner picks a fight, craving your tears or your pleas. You walk away. Chaos erupts. They panic. They double down. They text. Or "We need to talk." They accuse you of being cold, selfish, changed. But underneath the anger is fear. Fear that their power over you is slipping. Fear that the puppet they thought they controlled has cut its own strings. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a better understanding of ourselves." When you withdraw, you hold up a mirror. Suddenly, their frustration isn't about you. It's about them. Your silence forces them to face what they've avoided: their need for control, their insecurity, their fear of being unimportant. This isn't about manipulation. It's about boundaries. Think of a river. For years, it flows in the same path, carving valleys, feeding towns. People build homes on its banks. They depend on it. Then one day, the river slows. It dries up in places. It changes course. Panic follows. Crops wither. Leaders scramble. But the river isn't cruel. It's just no longer content to be used. It's rediscovering its own current. You are that river. When you stop being always available, emotionally, physically, mentally, you're not abandoning anyone. You're redirecting your energy inward. You're asking, "What do I need?" Not in a selfish way, but in a way that says, "I matter too." A mother stops dropping everything to rescue her adult son from every crisis. He's furious at first. Then slowly, he learns to solve his own problems. A people-pleasing employee stops covering for others' mistakes. The team grumbles, but deadlines sharpen. Accountability grows. A partner stops begging for affection. The silence between them either deepens into honesty or reveals a truth they'd ignored.
Withdrawal isn't indifference, it's clarity. Here's the secret: people treat you how you teach them to treat you. If you're always available, they assume you'll always be available. If you fix every problem, they'll hand you more. If you absorb their chaos, they'll keep shoveling it your way. But when you step back, you reset the rules. Take Anna, a woman who spent years as her family's glue: holidays, bills, drama. She handled it all. Then she got sick. Not seriously, but enough to say, "I can't do this anymore." She expected guilt. Instead, her siblings rallied. Her kids cooked meals. Her husband booked doctor appointments. By refusing to be the hero, she gave others room to step up. Or James, who muted his toxic group chat. No dramatic exit, just quiet absence. Days later, a friend showed up at his door. "We miss you. Did we do something wrong?" For the first time, they saw him. When you stop being a doormat, people stop wiping their feet on you. At first, withdrawal feels like loss. Relationships fade. Some people leave. You'll wonder, was I too harsh? Should I have just kept the peace? But this is where the magic happens. The ones who stay, they're the ones who loved you, not what you did for them. The ones who leave, they were tourists in your life, not residents. You start to notice patterns. The friend who only calls when they need a favor. The boss who mistakes kindness for weakness. The relative who thrives on drama. Your absence becomes a filter, sifting gold from gravel, and you change. Without the noise of others' demands, you hear yourself. You rediscover hobbies buried under "I'm too busy." You sleep deeper. You breathe fuller. The weight you thought was yours to carry wasn't yours at all. Carl Jung called this individuation, becoming who you truly are, separate from others' expectations. It's not rebellion, it's returning home. Eventually, the storm calms. The world adjusts. You're still kind, still loving. But now there's a quiet steel beneath your softness. You say no without apology. You protect your time like the precious currency it is. You don't explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. People sense the shift. They don't demand, they ask. They don't assume, they check. Your presence becomes a gift, not a given. And those who once controlled you, they either evolve or exit. Both are blessings. So what would happen if you stopped being available? Not out of spite, but self-respect. Not forever, but long enough to reset the dance. Your absence might cause a crisis, but crisis is just change wearing a scary mask. When you choose silence over shouting, stillness over chasing, presence over performing, you reclaim your power. And in that power, you give others permission to find theirs. As Jung said, who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. Stop being available to the noise. Start being present for the awakening.